week 12 of the fantasy basketball season. And if you need some forwards you need to trade for this week, here's a few forwards I would look to buy low and trade for. The first guy is Chris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks. So we saw the Bucks yesterday trade for P.J. Tucker. I believe Tucker, he'll be a forward coming off the bench for this team. And Chris Middleton, he's been a solid fantasy player, no doubt about it this season. Ranked 37, 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.1 steals a game, 2.2 threes per game, 89% from the foul line, and 48% from the field. But Middleton, he's been in a slump now. The last few weeks, his rankings 116 with 18 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 1.4 steals, only 1 3 a game he's giving you, and 39% from the field. So Middleton, he's in a slump. This Milwaukee team, though, they've been playing good basketball since the break's been over, winning the last 5 in a row. But Chris Middleton, his numbers just haven't been up to par all the way the last few weeks. And now with P.J. Tucker coming into town, maybe a couple Middleton owners, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to look to sell him off and trade him this week. And right now is a pretty good time to do that. March 13th at Washington, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 25% from the field. March 15th at Washington, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 3 threes, and 40% from the field. And then last night at Philly, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 8 turnovers, which definitely hurts you in that category, and only 37% from the field. So right now, the efficiency's down for Middleton. His turnover rate's at an all-time high, and while his value's a little down in the dumps the last few weeks, this is the time for fantasy owners to go out there and try to get him on a discount or a little cheaper of a price, because I think Middleton, he'll get things going once again. Maybe he's got to shoot some rust off after the long layoff with the All-Star break. But right now, I would go out there and try to trade for Middleton. The next forward I'd look to try to trade for is Bogdanovic of the Utah Jazz. So Bogdanovic, we've seen some good games out of him this season. On the season, he's ranked 163 in fantasy basketball, 15.4 points a game, 3.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 2.6 threes a game, 86% from the foul line, and 42% from the field. But the last few weeks, it's been horrid for Bogdanovic, ranking 282 in the time with only 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.3 threes a game only, 94% from the foul line, which he's always a great free throw shooter, but an awful 28% from the field. So Bogdanovic, since the All-Star break, he's been in a huge slump, shooting the basketball under 30%, and that's not acceptable. And his value's way down right now, because he was on a good tear before that, where I told you to sell him high. Now his value's so low, I'm telling owners to go out there and buy him low. March 12th versus Houston, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 2 threes. March 14th at Golden State, 9 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist and a 3. And then March 16th at Boston, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists and a 3. So Bogdanovic, he's not shooting good. He's not really giving owners any other categories besides rebounds and a good free throw percentage. But right now, he's hurting in a lot of ways. And if you could get him on a discount, this is the time to do it, while Bogdanovic is shooting at an awful clip at 28% over the last few weeks. And I don't think you got to give up much to get him, because he's even getting dropped in a few percent of fantasy leagues. So right now, he's a buy low candidate. The next forward is Andrew Wiggins of the Golden State Warriors. And Wiggins, he's been on the buy low list a lot this season, is Wiggins. And Wiggins, he's a pretty steady play. But right now, Wiggins, they're hoping he recharges as Steve Kerr and the Warriors. And we saw Steph Curry last night go down with a tailbone injury, and it looked pretty serious in my opinion. But we'll see what happens with that. On the season, though, Wiggins, he's ranked 108, 17.2 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.8 threes, 68% from the foul line, which hurts, and 47% from the field is Wiggins. So Wiggins, the numbers aren't all that great. The shooting percentage is pretty decent to Wiggins' standards. Last season, he only shot 44%. This year, he's at 47%. But right now, with this team, he's just not putting up the huge games. We saw one big one out of him from the All-Star break. 28 points versus Utah, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals March 14th. March 15th versus the Lakers, 15 points, 3 rebounds, an assist and a steal. And then last night at Houston, 17 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, a steal, and 3 threes. So Wiggins, he's hitting the 3 ball at a decent rate. But right now, I just don't think he has much pop in fantasy basketball. And if you want a consistent guy who's going to get you 15 to 18 points a game, hit a few threes and get some rebounds, I think Wiggins is the guy for you. And I don't think you got to break the bank to get him. He's just a solid player on a mediocre team in Golden State. And right now, I would go out there and get him. And especially if Steph Curry's going to miss some time, Wiggins' scoring load and his usage is going to go up more. The next forward I look to buy low this week is Paul George of the Los Angeles Clippers. So Paul George, he's been struggling to his standards the last couple weeks here. On the season, though, he's ranked 39th in fantasy basketball, 23.1 points a game, 6.1 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.1 steals, 3.4 threes a game, 88% from the foul line, and 48% from the field. But the last few weeks, he's ranked number 91 in this time, only 18.8 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1.3 steals, 2.83 threes, 87% from the foul line, and an awful 37% from the field. So Paul George, he's not shooting the basketball at a good rate. The percentages are down for him. And I know last night he had a good game at 28 points, but the other 4 games before that, he just wasn't doing much. And right now, while his value has taken a little bit of a hit and it's a little low, this is the time to get him. But with the big game last night, he might be rising back up that ranking board. But March 11th versus Golden State, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. March 14th at the Pelicans, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. March 12th at Dallas, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 threes. And then last night at Dallas, again, he had the big game. Was George in a blowout loss, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. So George, he wasn't shooting the basketball well, shooting under 35% in 3 out of the 4 last games. Last night he did shoot 50%, but he's in a slump. And right now, while his value's down and he's slumping, this is the time to get him, even though last night's game could be a continuation of him breaking out and his value going back up. But right now, buy him low while you can. And the 5th and final forward, I will look to buy low this week, DeAndre Hunter of the Atlanta Hawks. Hunter, it looks like he's going to come back any day now. He was almost going to come back in tonight's game versus the OKC Thunder, but they're ruling him out, or the Atlanta Hawks. And on the season, it was a good year for Hunter. When he played, he was ranked 54th with 17.2 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.7 threes, 87% from the foul line, and a nice 51% from the field. So Hunter, he's hitting half his shots. His 3-ball was really improving as well, and he was pretty impressive for this Hawk team. In my opinion, he was the 2nd or 3rd best player behind Trae Young or Clint Capella, whichever order you want to go here. Right now, he's still out, but this is the time where you should buy him low, because once Hunter gets into shape and his conditioning back up, his points per game are going to be good. He's going to be putting up good fantasy numbers, and then his values will be at an all-time high once again. So while he hasn't come back yet and his value's still low, this is the time to try to trade for him. So that's a few forwards I would look to try to trade for and buy low here in Week 12 of the fantasy basketball season.